Number 10, Ons Jabeur. Number 9, Caroline Garcia. Number 8, Maria Sakkari. Number 7, Marketa Vondroushova. Number 6, Elina Svitolina. Number 5, Jessica Pegula. Number 4, Coco Gauff. Number 3, Arina Sabalenka. Number 2, Elena Rybakina. And number 1, Iga Swiatek.
Hey guys, Mario was actually not late, definitely not, but our balls are dropping now. It was John indeed who already told you that he was asleep. But well, we also saw the Nick Power rankings, which I don't know why John is showing them right now. Is he just trying to rub it in Nick's face that so many of these players are already out of the event by the fourth round, / quarterfinals? I don't know, maybe. But then again, Gauff and Sabalenka, of course, made it to the quarters today, so Nick doesn't look that bad there. Yeah, we're going to talk about all matches basically today because it's just 8. And honestly, not the most exciting day, but maybe we'll find some bigger takes along all that stuff. So let's start with, as usual, with what we had. Basically that just finished usually when we're doing the last ball drop show, but today it's like 2 hours ago. But still, it's the freshest in our memories. Andrei Rublev beating Alex de Minaur and getting to his 10th Grand Slam quarterfinal. So that was a pretty good match, right? Like a true brutal war of attrition, lots of huge hitting, and eventually one player, I guess, was just slightly more durable than the other.
Yes, definitely. It was maybe, in terms of how close it should have been, and it more or less has been, even if, 6-love in the 5th set, but still the closest match of the day, and indeed it has been on the men's side, Rublev and de Minaur. Even when we saw the draw and we were trying to project ourselves ahead, if they were going to face off in the 4th round, there were a lot of different opinions. But of course, because they are, from one side, Rublev is, great player when it comes to consistency, especially. He's now been in 10 Grand Slam quarterfinals, 6 times out of the last 7 slams he played, even if he's still trying to reach his maiden slam semifinal. So some people, had their reasons to think that he should have won this match. Others, de Minaur, one of the most informed players of the moment, had also their reasons to think that de Minaur could have won and progressed to the quarterfinal. And no opinion has been really wrong, because for some parts of the match, de Minaur has really been playing quite well, especially when Rublev started being, between the end of the second, the beginning of the 3rd set. Rublev has started being very nervous, and de Minaur was trying at times even to be a little bit aggressive, a bit surprisingly, even if not for most part of the match. Overall the level, I feel like it's been good, and Rublev has been great in not let the time of the match make him feel tired, and still hitting very, very strong, very well, even in the last part of the match. Instead, de Minaur, his level dropped, and that explains also why the match ended in that way, with 5th set, such lopsided 5th set. But overall, I would say a good performance. Would de Minaur be a bit disappointed? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, losing to Rublev in 5, it's not that, it's not a bad thing. It's not something that you can be disappointing about. But also probably for the way he was playing, trying to reach that quarterfinal at this year's Australian Open could have been a goal for him. So I feel like he will be also a little bit disappointed in the end.
Yeah, I did say slightly when it comes to like who won the war of attrition, and I know this might sound weird given it was 6-love in the fifth, but this is also because Rublev was cramping hard in the decider,
Yeah.
and like even if he wasn't 5-love up, maybe we would have still had a match. Like if it was 3-2, maybe the Minaur actually starts prevailing. Although Alex was so tired too, so that's why I said slightly. But of course, because the scoreline was so lopsided already, it didn't matter that Rublev started cramping like 4-love or 3-love. Somewhere around that time in the final set. But there I asked this question on Twitter, so if someone wants to like also give a comment there, go ahead. But let's talk about that. So we've got 9 quarterfinal losses to look at so far from Andrei Rublev at the slams. 6 of them I feel like are clearly like in the unbeatable category. You cannot really blame him for anything there, which is Medvedev 3 times, and you have it on the screen now, Djokovic twice, Nadal.
Especially Medvedev on hard court, especially because
every time on hard court,
French Open.
Yes, like I took that into consideration. So like Tsitsipas is only in between because it was in Roland Garros. If it was, I don't know, Wimbledon, I think he would have been, in the second category, for example. Cilic, Tiafoe, definitely players that he can beat. That's for sure. But then again, of course, they actually peaked on the day. In the whole tournament, even Cilic plays that insane 10-point tiebreak at the end, maybe the best 10-point tiebreak that we've seen in terms of like an individual performance. And Tiafoe, of course, had a phenomenal US Open, came very close to beating Alcaraz even. And there's also Tsitsipas, which to me is like probably closer to opponents he kind of can't beat, but I couldn't quite put him there for 2 reasons. First of all, Rublev had just beaten him in Hamburg a couple of weeks earlier, and also Rublev defeated him at the US Open 2019. So I can't really say that Tsitsipas is not gettable for him at the slams. Now the question becomes like, if he loses to Sinner, which group does Yannick land in? And of course, this might very well change based on how the match looks. Like if the match is a 5-setter, for example, I think it's going to be pretty clear that Yannick should be in the second category, or like maybe in between, just like Tsitsipas. If he gets totally crushed, we'll probably be more likely to put him into the first one. But just before the match, before the quarterfinal stage, where is Sinner if Rublev is indeed going to post his 10th quarterfinal exit? Where would Yannick land then?
Well, I mean, I consider Sinner at the state of today, even if maybe not still at that kind of level, but I'm not considering him much lower than Medvedev at the US Open, at the Australian Open, in 2021. As the moment of form, the way he's been playing, and also Rublev never beat Sinner in a completed match. His 2 wins came one after 3-4 games. Sinner retired in Vienna. Another one, Sinner had injured his knee. He won the first set with a 6-1 score. Last year, there's been that Madrid match. Vienna was closer, but Sinner still won it in straight sets. Before the match, it's a bit difficult because still for previous slams results, Sinner maybe is not already there, but still I think that Sinner should be physically fresher. It's a matchup in which so far he's always pretty much more or less find himself well. So for sure Rublev is going to be the underdog in the match, in my opinion, regardless of maybe the fact that he can win it, but still he's not entering the match as the favorite once again. And then also maybe it will be perceived different also, considering how the slam will end for Sinner if he wins this match. maybe Sinner wins the World Australian Open, and then you start thinking like, that it was a totally acceptable loss. I don't know how to feel considering these two groups. Probably I would put him more or less in the same range at Tsitsipas 2020. I don't know. But still, Rublev has, a better overall record against Tsitsipas across their matches than he has with Sinner, because he still has to beat him in a match that ends.
Yeah, exactly. Like the history, I know it's 4-2, but it doesn't look that great for Rublev when you truly think about it. The two retirements. And Sinner is a bit of a better version of Rublev in many ways. There's no backhand weakness. There's more dynamic hitting. There's also like the variety aspect of it that he has added recently. Sinner, the serving, I would argue that Sinner has a stronger potential going forward to his serve than Rublev does right now. Whether he's already a better server than Rublev, that's probably kind of arguable. But I do think that this is kind of unwinnable for Rublev. I think he's actually closer to me in my book to that one category than to Tsitsipas. And I will actually be very surprised if he manages to beat Rublev here, especially in the best of five format. Like best of 3, maybe I would still like his chances. But Ghosty's talking about the kinda in my tweet. The kinda is definitely added there just in order for the tweet to be a little less negative towards Rublev, let's say that. But just say you don't like bashers, save us all some time. I mean, is it fun when you're just bashing and there's no variety component to it if it's just one-dimensional? Well, depends on your preferences, Do I like bashers? Some, maybe I do. Definitely. And what are you guys talking about? Is it?
Yeah, I think thing is that Sinner seems to have more solutions right now during the match and to close the point. Rublev, still has to kind of beat those one-dimensional allegations. Sinner recently, of course, his style is that one, and it's not his natural way to close the points. Maybe with some kind of variety coming to the net, but he's doing that in, I would also say, quite good level.
Yeah, I don't really see a path to victory for Rublev in a best of 5 set match against Sinner right now with the way that Yannick is looking. But also today, of course, we'll have taken a lot out of him. I'm obviously very well. I'm welcoming. I'm welcome to the idea of that. I'm welcoming to the idea that Rublev might just surprise or something. But yeah, I think it will be a very, very big shock if he eliminates him. There was an interesting comment under that tweet of mine from Oleg, who said that basically he thinks that the Medvedev, Nadal, Djokovic matchups, they are in a different league. Like it would be if Rublev beat them, then it would be like no effing way. It's what's that result? What is that result? I mean, it's like impossible. I think Sinner is also in that group for me. Like I think if Rublev beats Sinner, I'm gonna be that shocked as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about Sinner then. He played Khachanov. And honestly, it's kind of funny to me how people just have very different standards right now to Sinner, because I read a ton of tweets which said that, oh, I'm so glad that Khachanov really stepped up. Khachanov really pushed him. And I'm like, where? He did have a couple of breakpoints in the second set, but where did he push him? I mean, are you guys out of your mind? But that only really means where people perceive Sinner right now, like how people perceive him right now. They just think of him as such an, top 3 player, probably, that if someone even comes close in a set, that's already, oh wow, what an effort from Karen Khachanov.
I mean, honestly, I was not expecting a different result today, because I know that there have been some previous quite close battles in the past, but it's long time ago, especially comparing to the growth of a player at the age of Sinner. One thing is playing him when he is 20, and one thing is playing him when he is 22. Let's say that Khachanov did his match, and did his match in a good way, but not in the way needed to really, he should have played better than this to make Sinner really, uncomfortable. It can be a matchup that Sinner may suffer a little bit, because maybe Khachanov is that kind of baseline player who can bother Sinner. But Khachanov, in my opinion, lacks a little bit of that, let's say, that aggression in some moments of the match to really, step up in the close moments, in the important moment. So yeah, one funny thing is that I was taking a nap. I woke up after a while, and just to see how people are perceiving Sinner right now. And the tweets were like, "Oh my God, but where is the first serve? He's not playing well." I was like, "Oh my God, what's the score?" I opened and it was 6-4, 6-4, 3-4, but without the break, and I was, oh my God, I was not expecting to be something like 6-2, 6-2, 6-2. So I feel we've seen a normal version of Sinner and a normal version of Khachanov. That's what I think, and that's why the score is looking like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, Jane, I know what you mean, but I think it's important to note, in the second set, indeed, that was the breakpoint stat, but that was 2 sets, right? That was like 0 out of 5 in the first and 1 out of 5 in the second. And yeah, Karen did have his chances in individual sets, but I was just sort of amazed with the reaction on Twitter. People just saying that, yeah, as Mario said, if you weren't watching the match and you just started reading the tweets, you would have thought that this is, into the 4th, into the 5th set, and Khachanov actually has winning chances. Which, yeah, again, it just really, the only thing it really means is how far the standards have been pushed for Sinner, the goalpost.
That great rally in, I think it was the 11th game of the second set. That amazing rally, a lot of shots, 27, I think they were 25, 27. That Khachanov ends with that incredible forehand on the run, and May perceives you like, oh my God, Khachanov, how he's playing well, but then Sinner wins the next 8 points and takes the set. So maybe also you get fooled a little bit about some spectacular points, but then I mean the point by point level Sinner brought was still higher, because despite maybe he didn't probably have these peak moments in this match, but still the average level he brought was high enough to keep things under control. In the end, yes, there have been break points, but he saved them pretty well, serving well. Only one break suffered, but he was already up a break, so it basically just brought the set on serve again, and it was only the beginning in the second set. So I would say it has been a pretty much routine win, and that says a lot, because Khachanov, for it's still a very solid player who still brings some kind of level, even if without exceptional peaks. So yeah, I think that it's of course encouraging from Jannik.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're probably gonna go for now to go to the other forefront matchups that we had today. Let's maybe start with Fritz and Tsitsipas. I know a lot of people enjoyed that one. I personally thought of it as a bit irrelevant and only barely watched it, but I have to say that was definitely one of the best showings of Taylor Fritz that we got recently. It was pretty comparable to the Maroshan matchup as well, in how he was just doing a lot from defensive positions, and on the run he was able to blast his backhand and never really give the initiative to the other player. For Stefanos, this could have meant, and actually this could still mean, an exit from the top 10, as we now have that screenshot we now have that tweet from John and Vansh on the screen. Basically, if the Minaur defeated Rublev, then Stefanos would have been out. But also, there's still the chance that Cam Norrie will win the Australian Open, and then Stefanos is out of the top 10. But of course, that's something maybe a topic for another day. But for now, Fritz beating Tsitsipas, I guess that was always going to be a pretty close one. But the performance from Fritz was quite impressive.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it still has been, not a 5-setter, 6-3, 6-3 in the last 2 sets, but the first 2 have been, really close. And so overall, I would still call a quite close match, as, it was that kind of, for how I perceive both players right now, it was that kind of match in which anything could have happened, but I wouldn't have been, shocked. Of course, I am excluding total beatdown for any of the 2 players. Any other option would have been for me, acceptable before the match. It was for sure a big chance for Fritz to get a quarterfinal at the Australian Open, because Tsitsipas, he was looking better, but it's he's in a weird situation. He's also had some issues, that's for sure. In the United Cup, he was playing at a way lower level, for example. So in some way, his performance at the Australian Open, it hasn't been this bad. But of course, he is right now in a state in which maybe he has to ask some questions to himself. As for Fritz, very, very good performance. Nothing to say. As I said the last time I was here, to consider how far he has come from the first round, where he was actually, the idea of him getting knocked out was not that impossible. So having reached the quarterfinal is for sure good. Now he faces Novak, and then, I mean, if we make this the same speech for Rublev, it feels clearly, of course, the first category. Some matches I would be quite shocked, honestly, if he wins it. Because that's how their matchup has always been. Fritz always once won a set, actually 2, when Novak had that the infamous steer, that injury moment at the Australian Open in 2021. So it's difficult, and I would say that I would be very, very much surprised to not see Novak in. But still a good moment for Fritz, because first top 10 win in slams.
Really? Oh, Jesus.
He was love 11. He was 0-11. Yeah.
That's my reaction to this. I mean, when Zverev was 0-15, that was always a big deal, but I guess we just have different expectations of Zverev as well.
Yeah, but he was 0-11 actually. So it's still been kind of a he played let's say a kind of a beatable top 10 player for how Stefanos is right now. And for Stefanos, it's for sure a tough situation. It most likely not be out of the top 10, because Norrie, I don't think he will win the title. But in this moment, he seems pretty far from these guys like Sinner, Medvedev. But I would say Rublev himself, because at least Rublev, he's able to bring week in, week out that kind of level, which he doesn't go lower. And so Tsitsipas has really something to do if he wants to get again closer to these names of the game.
Yeah, I think maybe Taylor has a better shot than usually against Novak, just if he comes into with this same mindset that he did against Tsitsipas, which was super confident, but at the same time just not really putting too much pressure on himself, and he was able to play freely. I don't think he's done it on many occasions against Novak. Then again, of course, all the matchups are still all the matchup disadvantages that he has against Novak, they still hold up. So I'm not rating his chances too high either. And let's talk about the last men's fourth round that we had today. Novak Djokovic beating Adrian Mannarino. Not much to talk about. We had a watch along for that one, which admittedly was pretty short. Me and Vanj just after the first two sets started looking at triple bagels and also looking at double bagels for the big four, and we're sort of trying to guess whether Djokovic has a double bagel somewhere. And by the way, Mario, as a host, as one of the co-hosts of a Novak Weekly podcast, who is the only player that Novak has double bageled on the ATP Tour in his career?
No, I really don't know.
I really don't. Jan Henrich. Basel 2009. This is tough.
Thing, I remember that there was actually a guy who did even better last year in the fourth round as the beginning of the match, and it was Khachanov against Nishioka. He was 6-love, 2-love. And then, of course, he dropped more game than Novak's in the end because the third set went to a tiebreak. But this reminded me of this. Yeah, I think that among the other big four, only Murray maybe has. Murray has a triple bagel. I'm sure of this, but not
Murray is the only one who has a triple bagel. Yeah,
I think
that's
Davis
Cup.
Cup.
Yeah, against Laurent Brand
maybe,
against Luxembourg. So it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't count.
Davis
Cup doesn't count because the extreme differences, between the quality of the players are going to be there. And of course, now you cannot actually triple bagel since the format has changed. But anyway, when it comes to Mannarino, I think Matthew is referring to that when he said that based on the day. Based on highlights, it looked like there were some long rallies, and there definitely were in the first three games. I think Djokovic still gave a bit of a clinic as to how to play against someone like Mannarino. So Ben Shelton and other youngsters really look at that. Please watch at least the first few games of that match. But the matchup was going to be tough anyway, and Mannarino had nothing left. Good on him to win a few games, but this was never really allowed to be a match. And I guess Mannarino mostly did it to himself with the 3 consecutive 5-setters.
Yeah, of course. Just in normal circumstances, it would be very, very difficult, in my opinion, to imagine Mannarino winning this match, especially in best of 5. Also, not being that fresh, 12 hours on the court throughout the past week. So I think it was more or less impossible to imagine. I don't want to say something different because Mannarino, could have lost, 6-3, 6-4, 6-3, and it would have been okay, but still would have been difficult for me to imagine Mannarino even taking a set, given, what happened during the past week, and also Novak was starting playing at a better level. I don't have any more thing to say because
it's obviously this wasn't the first triple bagel in a major since 1993 in the main draw, because in the Wimbledon qualifying there was one in 2001, but it was going there eventually. Of course, nice for Adrian to win a few games. He did see the humor in it as well, so that's good for him. Ghosty, by the way, you're very elitist, like comparing Taylor Fritz and John Coltrane. Why wouldn't someone like both? Maybe Catherine Whitaker is actually listening to My Favorite Things or whatever, A Love Supreme, when she has a day off of recording the tennis podcast. Anyway, maybe let's finish off the men's discussion.
One issue about this matchup, it's been that, Fritz has a big serve, but it's been very readable for Djokovic. Never had too many issues in breaking his serve. I'm thinking, for example, he started the Cincinnati match with a 6-love, the US Open quarterfinal with a 6-1. I think that, for sure Novak, doesn't have to play at 120% of his level. Fritz, he can have his shot, but he needs to serve very, very well, and of course to look this solid, from the backhand side as he was today. Even if today he's that cross court, the backhand was almost favorable to him, because against Tsitsipas Against Djokovic is totally a different scenario from the backhand side.
So let's just maybe to finish off our men's discussion, who has a better shot simply in today's time? Is it Rublev against Sinner or is it Fritz against Djokovic?
Well, I think it's Rublev against Sinner, even if I would be very surprised to not see Djokovic and Sinner facing each other in the semi-final.
Yeah, I would be very surprised too. Kind of have to go Rublev. Fritz would be like just a bit too much of a brain power
maybe
take.
I'm being a little bit mean, maybe, but it's not even a day, of tennis I will be so excited to watch.
No. This isn't you. This is a crappy set of quarterfinals. Let's be honest. But thanks to that, sort of, we might get a very good semifinal. So, but this day of quarterfinals will be absolutely horrific on the men's side.
Yeah, the
Djokovic,
other side
Fritz, Rublev,
can be already different. For example,
Alcaraz, Zverev, and then we're talking, right? Or like Medvedev, Hurkacz, or Medvedev, Kazov, for example, and then we're talking.
Exactly.
Talking. So, or Borges, Kazov. I would welcome it. But anyway, let's talk about the women's now. Then, apparently, Matthew says that it will be the hottest day of the championship on Tuesday. Tuesday is
according to
in 2 days' time, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking if that actually impacts anything, but probably no.
We disagree. Me and Damien disagree.
Disagree on what?
That will be the best day of the championship on Tuesday.
Oh, the hottest. No, Matthew means the hottest in terms of the weather.
The weather. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't know why I was thinking related to
No. It's about the temperature. Yeah, it's about the temperature.
Yeah, the temperature. Okay. I don't know. The condition.
Yeah. The edges are too huge. The edge of quality, I think, might be too big. But again, of course, if one of these matches turns out okay, of course, I will turn it on and I will be more excited about it than I am right now. Women's, not much to talk about either. So let's start with maybe the most exciting one, the only one that went free, the only one that had any momentum changes really, which is Barbora Krejčíková beating Mira Andreeva, overcoming a 0-2 head-to-head. She lost to her at Wimbledon, retiring. She also lost to her at Beijing to 6-6. But today, that was a very nice display. I mean, she was just really out there and threw the kitchen sink at her, like really started attacking Andreeva with enough force to eventually battle through. And that was a very impressive win, I think, from Krejčíková, who, of course, will now have to overcome another very dangerous matchup, which she only won just once. And that was after a bagel first set and coming back from, what was it? Love 6-5 or whatever.
I agree. Today's win, first of all, great, important for her because you never want to be 0-3 against a player who's 16, whatever good. She can be very, very good and dangerous, but I don't think you, as a tennis player, would like to fall 0-3 in this head-to-head. First set the quality was pretty low. In my opinion, honestly, Andreeva never really, in my opinion, played a great match. But Krejčíková stepped up. Actually, the third set, it was really, really good. Andreeva at times lets the moment maybe stick in her head a little bit for too long. Of course, it's also due to her age also, so it's totally normal. I would still say, of course, a satisfying Australian Open campaign, that's for sure. Krejčíková, yes, she was not playing brilliantly in the past rounds and even in this first set. So I was, honestly, thinking that Andreeva would have won the match before it was starting. But then a very, very good performance. It's the first quarterfinal in singles in a Grand Slam in 2 years. So Krejčíková, who's back in the top 10 of the live ranking, because there's still someone who can surpass her. And I would say that she just proved that she is a very, very tough competitor and a difficult player to beat. even if honestly I don't see anyone but Gauff stopping Sabalenka to on her way to the final. I don't think that Krejčíková will win the match. Maybe she will prove me wrong once again, but I find it difficult for the way Sabalenka is playing.
Yeah, and speaking of overcoming tough head-to-heads, Sabalenka was 1-4 down against Anisimova, but that was also another non-story today, really. I mean, she just, from start to finish, went out, was so dominant. I think the matchup in the future can still be competitive, but of course, Anisimova so early in her comeback, and also they haven't really played since Sabalenka became like a true top player, which I guess for different people might have like, you might have a different start of that timeline. For me, it's probably either beginning of 2023 or even the second half of 2022. So it's a little different than just looking straight up at the 1-4 head-to-head. And yeah, John is showing you the Sabalenka-Krejčíková matches from last year, which, as I said, that big comeback in Dubai. Then Krejčíková, of course, wins the title over Świątek. She says that she is basically the big four. And well, that was the big three even at the time, maybe, right? I don't remember. It was either the big three or the big four, and she wanted to be included in the conversation. Then she lost
no, it was the
Sabalenka
big three, and she said that she wanted to be like the big four.
Yeah.
It was a hot take, but
I mean, yes, but then she didn't really prove it. Like the rest of the year, she didn't really prove it. Even though at the very beginning, maybe she actually belonged. But yeah, Ghosty is also asking, did Sabalenka learn anything between now and the US Open? What will she do differently against Gauff? Honestly, she just doesn't. She just doesn't have to like blow it again. Like,
no, if in my opinion,
she was in total control of that set.
Yeah, exactly. That first set of the US Open finals just can show her that playing a good match can be what she needs to beat Gauff, because despite Gauff being great in her defense game, I see Sabalenka really troubling her with her shots, as well as I can see how Gauff can trouble Sabalenka. So I don't think that there's anything in particular she has to study.
Yeah, Matthew and Ghosty talking about the Ukraine, Belarusian, Russian final. We've had a lot of matches like this Australian Open. Thankfully, it's not been too much of a point of discussion like at the French last year. But yeah, it wouldn't be great, of course, with the speeches, definitely. And today, Kostyuk as well posted like shading the US Open. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Kostyuk posted on her Twitter, basically the US Open had this graphic where they put Marta Kostyuk, Ukraine, and Maria Timofeyeva, Russian flag. So, of course, that wasn't too thoughtful from the US Open, but Kostyuk had like this huge rant about it. Obviously, she's one of the players who has like been leading the charge against even allowing Russian and Belarusian athletes to compete, which is pretty funny because she's played a few of them, I think, in this. Did she play two of them in this event already? No, I guess she's only played one, but if she beats Sabalenka, she actually played two in a row. Yeah. I thought I saw somewhere that she played two in a row. Yeah, Avanesian, of course, and Timofeyeva. But anyway, let's talk about that side of that half, like that quarter, the third quarter, I guess it is, when indeed Marta Kostyuk defeats Maria Timofeyeva very easily, and in fact the reversed scoreline, Coco Gauff against Magdalena Frank. Really not too much of a story in either match. I guess Kostyuk Timofeyeva was the one we thought maybe was going to be competitive, but then Kostyuk delivers like her most maybe cohesive performance of the event, like maybe comprehensive. I don't know. Cohesive maybe is actually let's stick with it. I mean, cohesive maybe is not exactly the right word here, but anyway. She basically manages to play her best match of the event so far. And Magda Frank against Coco Gauff. That was as brutal as Mannarino Djokovic to me.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't watch that match, but it went, exactly as I was expecting, because as I told you also the last time, I think Frank can be, able to produce a good performance and to overcome, even to score an upset, but because, power hitting players, players who can have a day off, like Garcia, those kind of hitters, against someone like Gauff, who he's just solid, it becomes really, really difficult from her side. So I was not expecting, honestly, anything different. And now, Gauff is playing very well, even if not maybe tested that much in this event so far. Let's say that, Sabalenka, even if Anisimova is still early in her comeback, Sabalenka still kind of had her first test today and passed it in a very good way. And maybe for Gauff, this is going to be set for the next match, because Kostyuk is still another kind of player. So yeah, I can be even interesting in that match, because I feel that Kostyuk can still bring something different to the table. And I want to know if Coco's performance is going to tell me much about how things are going to look, maybe in a potential Gauff Sabalenka clash, which most people are expecting, even if it's not that it should happen, but it's not that it's not confirmed already.
Yeah, I also just wanted to say Derek earlier said that I just hope Rublev does not choke in the quarterfinals again. We were talking about this earlier, but he never choked in the quarterfinals. He literally never did.
Choke is a bad word in my opinion. It looks like he was kind of two sets.
I know how the record looks, but yeah, he never did. Like at least 6 of these were unwinnable, maybe 7. And yeah, Tiafoe and Cilic playing very good tennis on the day. Cilic peaking in the 5th set tiebreak. So he has been definitely quite unlucky with this. Like if you think about Khachanov having 2 slam semis, and also who he beat to get these slam semis, for example, Korda, who was injured, and also Kyrgios. I guess it was peak Kyrgios, but it's not unrealistic to think that Rublev maybe wins both of these matches as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Shapovalov has a slam semi, and he got it because Khachanov was in his quarterfinal. Like give one opportunity like this to Rublev, and he makes that semi. It's just that he hasn't had one. And yeah, but I will never say that he choked any of these 9 quarters.
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, even the Cilic maybe was winnable, but it's not like he choked. For me, choked means another thing.
Were the first 2 sets really tiebreakers between Tiafoe and Rublev at the US Open?
I think it was a 7-6, 7-6, 6-4.
Oh, they were. Okay, never mind. Then. Yeah, indeed. Maybe because the tiebreak, the second set tiebreak was so lopsided. I thought that was definitely was a little closer. Anyway, never mind. But yeah, of course, that's basically the point that I wanted to make. Anyway, you're right, Ghosty, obviously about the scoreline, and also what was I going to say? Yeah, Coco Gauff looks so stress free, says Matthew. Like to me, I also think she hasn't really had the opportunity to be stressed. The one round when she was pushed a touch against Caroline Dolhide, she actually wasn't looking great in the opener at all. Dolhide served for the opening set. When she's winning against Magda Frank 6-1, 6-2 in a matchup that she basically cannot struggle in because of the reasons that Mario mentioned, because of the fact that Frank has nothing to hurt her with, it's easy to look stress-free. But yeah, I mean, at this point, it looks very likely that she gets to the semis. Her quarter against Kostyuk out of these 4 that we have been sort of given today, I think this is still the most interesting one. However, yeah, it's probably very likely at this stage that we also get that high-profile Sabalenka Gauff semi. And then, of course, we'll see what happens in that one, whether maybe Arina has some issues delivering at the semi-final stage again. But certainly, it's not going to be like a throwaway match for either player, probably. And I think it should deliver if we get there, indeed. And yeah, when it comes to Coco, I think a lot of people have been saying that like she's playing so amazing or something, and I'm like, really? Can we really say that today she did anything? I mean, she didn't need to. I'm not criticizing her because there's nothing to criticize her for. I'm just saying this tells us nothing about her actual level because yeah, Magda Frank just isn't a player who will like step out of her comfort zone too much or has the ability to step out of her comfort zone too much. And then yeah, in this matchup, she was just dead from the get-go. So yeah, we basically talked about all of these 8 fourth rounds that we had today.
Let's say
we
that against Gauff, another way, another way to be able to kind of have a favorable matchup against her. Probably it's also, to make her feel the need to rush a little bit from the baseline, and then maybe her forehand can look a little bit ups and downs. For example, let's say that even a match against Krejčíková can be interesting if but even the one against Kostyuk, I feel that like the real tournament starts now for her, let's say like that.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I think Kostyuk is probably the toughest opponent she's faced yet. We are expecting her to maybe have some tests along the way, like Fernandez, like Garcia. That didn't happen, so Kostyuk is probably the toughest one yet. Is she still the major, like the overwhelming favorite to make the semis? Of course. But so yeah, I asked you this question about Rublev and Fritz. Now let's think about this: Kostyuk or Krejčíková, who has a better chance of stopping that semifinal?
That's a difficult question. Well, maybe Krejčíková, but because I feel that if Sabalenka has an off day, Krejčíková has this kind of variety that can make Sabalenka get a little bit uncomfortable. But with the way Sabalenka is playing, it's going to be tough. Indeed, Krejčíková only won, as you mentioned, once out of 6 matches, and still being boggled in one of the sets. So yeah, probably Krejčíková, but I would say that both have, I would say both have kind of the 30% in my head. 25 maybe.
Yeah, maybe 25-ish actually. It's not easy to choose between the two. I think Coco is definitely like the more reliable player. Then again, I think Kostyuk might even be more dangerous. What happened with Krejčíková and Siniakova? Did they fall out? I think it was Siniakova, right, who just didn't want to play with her anymore. And basically right now they have different partners. Krejčíková playing with another girlfriend of John, Laura Zygmunt, and Siniakova is playing with Storm Hunter, isn't she? Or am I misremembering something?
No, it's Hunter. Yes.
I think it's Storm Hunter. Yeah, indeed.
Yes.
So it might indeed be a match.
Yeah, because Hunter was playing with Mertens, who's now playing with Sie.
Yeah, so it's here today. This year.
No, I wanted to ask you this. I feel kind of a little bit, not good to say. I'm, for example, reading a lot of comments like, this is Sabalenka's slam to lose, or this is Gauff's slam to lose. Don't you think it's, a little bit strange? First of all, because they have to meet each other in the semifinals. So it feels like they have, if they both win their quarterfinal, they will have both a tough test in the semis.
Yeah, especially when I'm reading that this is Coco's slam to lose, I'm like, really? Is it? I think Sabalenka has a lot more favorable matchups probably in the finals as well if she beats Coco. So it's like I can maybe understand the Sabalenka take, but as you said, there's going to be a semifinal. It's going to be pretty close. So yeah, I don't think at this point we can really say anything like that now.
And also, I wanted you to tell me who are you picking from the other side, actually, because it's going to be quite interesting at this point.
I said it yesterday on the Last Ball Drop show. I think this is the moment when in the top half of the women's draw, we just sort of sit back, enjoy it, relax, and just, get some popcorn, get some good snacks, probably healthy snacks, maybe a beer or two. And then you're just, a beer. I might drink some beers tonight, now that I think of it. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
This is that moment. This is that moment.
For sure, I feel like, Svitolina maybe will have some pressure on herself because she's in good form. It's still an opportunity for her to reach a maiden slam final. Of course, it's not like if she loses, it's the end of the war. It's not like she's the but I feel that she's one of these players who can really feel the pressure. Because actually she never got there to a slam final. She's playing well. So she can see this as an opportunity, even if, of course, it's not easy, because even the round 4, Noskova Svitolina, it's actually a match I really, really interesting in, because I feel like, I feel like it's 50-50 probably.
We can start flipping a coin for every single match in the top half from now on. I believe in that. I seriously believe in that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Azarenka will beat Yastremska.
Tomorrow, the only favorite I am confident in is Anna Kalinskaya.
Anna Kalinskaya. I don't know. She should win, but
like Paolini is fine. I love Jasmine Paolini as much as the next guy, which in this case will be Mario. So he probably likes Jasmine Paolini a fair bit. But well, she also has Polish heritage, right? So like we are sort of both connected to Jasmine Paolini in a way. But yeah, I just don't feel like Paolini in an individual match can really match what Kalinskaya can do when she's playing well. But the other matches, like even Ocean down, she just plays such a ridiculous, hyper aggressive, ball striking style. And Zheng has struggled against players like this in the past. Obviously, you can sort of take the opponent's racket out of their hands in that way. Yeah, I feel like it's really weird. You mentioned the mental aspect for Svitolina. There's definitely a fair few players here, and that's probably actually only Zheng, Svitolina, and Azarenka who will feel like they have some pressure on themselves because they've either been there before, or they will feel like, oh, so finally this is my chance. Whereas the others, it's like so new to them and so random that maybe they will actually keep playing with this sort of never, don't devil may care mindset. So yeah,
it
it's
depends
all
on the
super
age,
weird.
in my opinion. For example, players like Dodin, 27, Paolini, 28. Yeah. I mean, it's a pressure moment, because when you're going to have this opportunity again, maybe it's weird that I'm saying this, because she's the highest ranked player and also a player with high expectation on her, but probably one who's, even if he doesn't take this opportunity, will probably have another one, so it's Qin Wenzheng, at this point, there are, of course, expectations and pressure, but yeah, maybe tomorrow, yes, because if she loses, even to, but I don't know, if she loses semifinals against Azarenka, would it be a great disappointment? In my opinion, not that much,
No, it wouldn't be. But I guess these are just the players that would feel like, well, we need to take advantage of this chance.
That's for sure.
Whereas the others, it's like so new and like they weren't expecting it to begin with. But can Zheng compete with this Sabalenka? I don't think so. I think Zheng has a lot of issues when someone takes the first strike away from her, and like when someone overwhelms her with the weight of shot, which is tough to do. But that's why I actually believe that Dodin has a shot tomorrow.
What we saw a little bit at the US Open.
Yeah, not a little bit. I mean, at the US Open, it was like a perfect display of that. And,
yeah, exactly.
Lots of losses for Zheng recently, which I admittedly haven't been too many, have been like it, because that's only really the only thing that she struggles with so far. And yeah, KC, it was Siniakova who ended the partnership between her and Barbora, which I know Barbora was like a little surprised by. And yeah, as John told you, Krejčíková is playing doubles with Laura Ziegmund to start the year. I think they played one event before the Australian Open and they withdrew before the semifinals. Anyway, I guess this is going to be it, really. Maybe like tell me what match you're the most excited by tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've mentioned Noskova Svitolina. So I think I'm picking this one from the women's side. And from the men's side, well, actually, Kazo Urkac, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Zverev, Nori, Kazo Hurkacz probably. Maybe someone believes in the Kecmanovic upset after 2 consecutive 5-setters. I don't. Zverev, Nori seems like a horrible matchup for Cam, even though he already overcame one of these. By the way, I am so pissed at all these British journalists who are saying that Nori has never beaten Alexander Zverev. He beat him in 2013 in an ITF event and in 2014 at the Westlakes Challenger. That was the same Westlakes Challenger when Zverev beat Lee too, by the way, which was a bit of a story a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's 4-0, of course, the official matches. But We had two matches between them, and if John, you can scroll down maybe just to show it to people that these matches exist. Can you scroll down to the 2 matches that Cam won? Thank you. Exactly. An ITF event in Canada, and also the qualifying for West Lakes Challenger for Cam Norrie. Of course, Zverev was 16 at the time, but Cam was 18, so it's not like a big deal anyway. They were fairly close to one another.
I mean, if they are official matches, they should count.
Yeah, and when I see that some British journalist says Cam has never beaten Zverev, I'm like, really? I mean, you can specify that like on the main tour or on the ATP tour.
That's why
level,
Djokovic is not unbeaten against Monfils.
Exactly, Djokovic is not unbeaten against Monfils. Nadal is not unbeaten against Gasquet. And a lot of these storylines don't really work when you really go deeper into it. But the ATP website also sucks in many and on many occasions. For example, not including Australian Open qualifying when Wawrinka beat Djokovic, when Djokovic played Wawrinka, Djokovic beat Wawrinka, of course, or like the Karlovic-Djokovic head-to-head, which is actually 3-1, not 2-1, but Madrid qualifying for some reason is not included. But anyway, this is a topic for another day. Indeed, Kazo Hurkacz is probably the best one on the men's side tomorrow. As usual with Hubert Hurkacz's matches, we should expect a tight battle, especially against the fellow big server. And yeah, on the women's, maybe I would still go for Kalinskaya over Paulini, because if I said that I kind of trust her right now, and I think that if she executes her game again at a very high standard, she is the only favorite I'm really confident in tomorrow. Then again, I kind of want to see if she does. And if she doesn't, then it becomes tricky, and it could be a really good showing. But yeah, all the women's matches in the top half from now on will be really close.
I mean, Paulini is one love in the head-to-head.
I don't even know what the match is, but yeah.
I don't remember.
Portoros. You remember that? That was a big run for Jasmine, right?
In that occasion. Yes, I remember.
That was like a final from her, or
was it won the title. She won the title.
Oh, she won the title over not Zidanšek. Risk, yeah.
I remember it because I've been the only one in the press conferences the whole week.
Because that was virtual, or?
Virtual, and I had these press conferences with Paulini after each match, and it was just me and there after every match talking about it. More or less a lot of
fun though. That's fun though.
No, it's really fun because I've known her story really, really well. I've got to to have even the chance to ask her a lot of different things. So it's been really nice. She's basically the player I know personally the most between the both tours, because I've also interviewed there the year after. So I'm happy if she does well.
How come the Prizmic hype is bigger than the Kazo hype? Age, literally age. Ghosty, you're not missing anything in terms of the game. It's age. That's really the answer. And also, I also had a bit of an experience like this, I guess, with Jasmine Paolini. Even though at the press conference in Warsaw there were just 6 people, like something like that, because obviously for the Świątek press conferences it would be like 50, barely enough seats, or like actually people standing. But again, for Paolini, only like 5 people came, and I was like really excited because finally they're doing something with a foreign player. And of course, at first they asked her to speak in Polish. She did for a moment, but then she says it's going to be easier about tennis in English. And then I asked 2 questions, and the rest of the room is like, and that was the end of the press conference. And after that, I don't think they did another one that whole week with a foreign player. I think maybe after the final they actually did, after after Garcia won it, but I wasn't there anymore because I went home. So, but yeah, that was horrible. I mean, I am sort of used to it, but I just wanted to spit in the other people's faces. Even when Karolina Muchova was there this year, I guess, in 2023. Well, this is last year already. What am I talking about? But yeah, even when Muchova came, there were only 2 questions from the room. Of course, one from me, and the other was, "Are you going to watch the Iga Świątek match later today?" I hate this, but well, whatever. That makes me look good as well. So I always sort of welcome this anyway, because to the pressman, the press officer, and like the guys from the tournament organization, then I look like the best person there. I guess thank you, Sean. This is a unique compliment. I've never gotten that, but I guess thank you. And Ghosty, just under that, Ghosty gives a wonderful quote from me. Anyway, let's wrap this up. We talked for an hour about this pretty
incredible.
boring day of tennis.
Incredible.
Yeah. And it's not really a factor of the day 5 being so incredible, right?
No. It was a boring day, full stop.
Yeah, this would have been a boring day, full stop, Mario. You're right about this. And anyway, thank you guys. And we're gonna see you on some other streams, watch-alongs. Last Ball drops probably just one more time, I suppose, because after the quarterfinals, it's not really gonna be a big deal to talk about, I guess, but maybe John is planning that after the quarterfinals. I don't actually know, but yeah, keep tuning into this. You can see the subscriber count as well on the screen. 5.5k after the Australian Open. I'm still hopeful. And yes, John, you sleeping was wise. I also got quite a lot of sleep today during the day, and I'm not regretting this at all. So yeah, thank you guys, and see you soon.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.